Many thanks for choosing us. Gas for electricity generation from the Jubilee fields will no longer be free by the end of the year. Ghana, under the Eswakufo government, negotiated this free gas arrangement with Tallow Oil. Gas is cheaper than crude when used for generation, but free gas from Jubilee had always been preferred due to the impact on pricing. Well, as a presentation on the proposed tariffs, GNPC indicated that they had considered this development in their computation of gas prices.
Some key assumptions from GNPC. The first one is that Jubilee Foundation volume, which we have enjoyed over the years as free gas, is coming to an end. Towards the end of this year, we expect that to come to an end, and we will then begin to be paying the full price for Jubilee. The good thing is that it will still be cheaper, but it will not be the cheapest. Particularly, it will be more expensive than 10. And the one thing to note about it also is that we have not yet concluded the negotiations on the price for that. This is still ongoing, and we have used some proxy for now for the purpose of this exercise, and we will come back to PRC once we conclude the negotiations. The second principle is that we have always, since 2017 or 2019, we've assumed that a GNPC share of all the gas that we have, as well as the royalty share, are free. We don't price that. And that was a key component of the tariff determination for 2019.
Well, we're being joined by Kwame Jantwa. He is with the Civil Society Platform on Oil and Gas. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Jantwa. Let's look at how this development will affect consumers in the first place.
I didn't hear what the other gentleman said. So from what I understand, we're talking about the ending of free gas from the Jubilee partners, yes?
Correct.
Okay. From what I understand, GNPC has tried to negotiate the continuance of free gas from the Jubilee partners. However, the Jubilee partners have indicated that there are certain costs that they would incur. So they cannot continue with the free gas. However, they are prepared to negotiate a certain amount. And from what I understand, it's, I think, between 10 and 50 cents for the gas. Now, you would then ask the question, if that ownership of the gas is now in the hands of the Jubilee partners, can the Jubilee partners decide that we would want to use the gas for some alternative endeavor? The petroleum agreement so far they have with Ghana does not allow the partners to use the gas for any other thing. Example, if they wanted to turn it into LNG, they don't have that authority. The petroleum agreement does not allow them to do that. And so, based on that, it looks as if GNPC can negotiate a much lower rate, then the impact on Ghanaians would not be felt that much, or it will be negligible. It also depends on what we decide to do with the gas, because definitely, if we want to turn the gas into LNG, then the first point of refusal would be the Jubilee partners to handle it for us. So at this point, from what I understand, it's not going to be a problem. The other challenge that is there is the fact that there's a lot of gas that seems to be causing trouble for the Jubilee partners in terms of evacuation. Because there's abundant gas, one of the options is to re-inject the gas back into the wells. That has an effect because it can destroy the wells. So there needs to be a way to evacuate that gas, and it's up to them to discuss with the Ghana government in GNPC how it would do that. There is an option of, Cote d'Ivoire, going to Cote d'Ivoire. And I know that Ghana Gas is trying to extend the pipeline into Cote d'Ivoire so that Ghana can also export some of that gas there. But with regards to the kind of pressures it could put on Ghanaians for now, that is negligible. Nobody knows what is going to happen in the future, though.
Mr. Jantwa, we know we have other gas sources, including the Sankofa and the TEN. So, I mean, why is this a big deal?
Well, it's a big deal because the quantum of the gas coming from the Jubilee field, the quantum of the gas, and we know what we use our gas for, is for electricity. And so if we're not getting free gas anymore, then it means we could have an added cost in procuring the gas. And this is where, if it so happened that we were able to stick with the initial agenda when we discovered oil and gas, the agenda was that within 10 years, GMPC would be an operator. And because they were an operator, the gas would now still be ours and we would be able to handle it the way we want to handle it. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. It hasn't been the case. So if costs are going to come in, it can affect the bottom line in terms of GMPC. And probably going forward, depending on any other incidentals that come up, can also affect us. But for now, in terms of Ghanaian public, we are not affected in any hard way or any difficult way.
Of course, we've been having discussions of whether tariffs must go up or not. ECG has already made proposal for some amount of money they want consumers to pay. Will this affect the tariffs? I mean, would this make prices of electricity or power go up?
Well, but remember that GNGC to Ghana Gas, VRA, they have all brought their tariff proposals to PURC. It's now up to PRC to go through this particular proposal that they've brought, and we should all remember that is a proposal, to go through with a fine-tooth comb and iron out those areas that are very important for the operations of electricity and the water, the utilities to go on, and those areas that we can hold back for another time. Some of us are saying, because what the utilities have said that over the years, when they've brought in proposals, the amounts of money that they're asking for have not been given them. Some of us are saying, let's put the politics aside and let's take the risk and give them what they are looking for. And let's see whether they'll be able to give us the kind of service they have promised to give us. Because if they are saying that over the years you haven't given us what we are looking for, and because of that it's stranded our operation, let's bite the bullet. Let's bite the bullet. Yes, the politics might not work for the party in power, but which is the greater? Is the satisfaction that the utilities bring to the people that is most important. And I do believe that if, where electricity and water is concerned, if we don't have low voltage, if we don't have water going on and off in our homes all the time, and we have constant electricity, constant water flow, I don't think Ghanaians will complain too much with regards to the kind of tariffs we are paying. It's because there is no confidence in the utilities. That is why they are having the challenges we are having. So at the present moment, it's up to the utilities to give that confidence for Ghanaians to believe that they can provide what they say they
Mr. Jantwa, yesterday at the PRC stakeholder engagement, for instance, the GNPC cited the fact that they considered the free gas not coming in again as part of the pricing index they presented to the PURC. And that's why I'm asking, will consumers have to pay more because we are not getting free gas?
But the other thing they didn't also say was that they had negotiated a certain price with the IOCs. That they didn't say. And from what I understand, talking to GMPC this morning, it's a very low figure. Then that is why I say PRC would have to go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. It's not every proposal they brought you that you take hook, line, and sinker. Because PRC's responsibility is to make sure that there's no unwarranted burden on the people. And so they have to go into whatever proposals have been brought and look at what kind of negotiations GMPC have had with the IOCs to be able to satisfy themselves with the kind of tariffs that they are asking for.
So you're saying that the problem at stake is actually insignificant and it shouldn't affect pricing? At
the present moment, yes, that is what I understand. That because they are still, even though the IOCs are saying that because there are certain costs, we would need to charge something, an insignificant figure. They are still pushing for the IOCs to give us the free gas. They are still pushing. They haven't come to a conclusion yet, but I know from what they tell me that the figure that they are looking at is between 10 and 50 cents.
Now, let's look at a bigger picture of this whole gas conversation. We planned to do more gas fields. Why have we not done that as a country?
Because we have stranded gas at the present moment. When was the last time we did exploration? We haven't done any new exploration in the last 4 to 5 years. Springfield, that has a field, that has a lot of associated gas, have not started operations. And if we do not do more exploration and we do not bring fields on stream, how do we get gas? Because, it's a finite product. Gas is a finite product, and the more you do, the more gas you get. And it has been proven that we have more gas than hydrocarbon. But if we do not exploit it, how do we get the gas? And that is the challenge. And that challenge is also linked into this kind of the energy transition bit, where the banks that use, the European banks and the American banks and the national banks that used to invest in hydrocarbons are now pulling out because they want to do more renewables. But the Ukrainian-Russian war has exposed them. It's exposed them in the sense that they are looking at Russian gas and they are prepared to put Russian gas aside and deal with Putin on other areas. That should tell us something. And it is important that we, as a continent, find an antidote to it. And this is where some of us have said, at the beginning of this oil thing, we haven't been able to incentivize local companies to get into this business. And because of that, we are depending on the international companies wholly, which right now is not working for us because they are not getting the kind of funding that they want. And even if they are getting the funding, the banks are actually segregating who they want to give the funding to. So we need a situation where our banks have the wherewithal to be able to give Ghanaian companies the capacity in terms of finances to go into it. We are talking about going on to onshore. We're talking about going on onshore. And the seismic that they've done so far where onshore is concerned looks promising. Are we going, especially with the gas fields that we might get on onshore, are we going to say that Ghanaian companies are not going to be primary in this? And if Ghanaian companies are going to be primary in this, why don't we start getting Ghanaian companies to start building capacity now? Because in the next 5 years, 6 years, we're going to go onshore. This is the time to start. Although onshore, there are many challenges with onshore because of the communities in the areas, because of other natural resources in the areas. We should start talking about these things now. But we are silent.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Mr. Jantua. I mean, with the zero or free gas coming from Jubilee, that's going to be seized from now, it means that 10 is going to be providing us with gas. And give or take, I mean, whichever way you look at it, gas will be cheaper from 10 than from Jubilee. Is this still not cause for worry?
It depends on the kind of negotiations we can have with Jubilee. It depends on the kind of, because if we can have negotiations whereby we can still get gas free because of the challenges Jubilee has with gas, the Jubilee partners have with gas, if we can still negotiate for free gas for probably a certain number of years, then we don't have a problem. But I'm saying that even if we do negotiate, the price at which we negotiate should be negligible. That doesn't put pressure on the people. You remember, it's raw gas. It's raw gas.
Okay.
It has to be refined in a trouble. It has to be refined in a trouble. So probably government will have to find a way of subsidizing, because it's more on the raw side, subsidizing so that the pressure is not felt on Ghanaians. However, if it so happens that Ghana Gas is not paid what the work they are doing, and their debt starts mounting, then in their tariff to PURC, they're included as they brought their tariff today. That's why it is so important that PURC looks at it with a fine-tooth comb, and in looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, advise the people. You see, one thing we don't do in this country is to bring the people along when such things are happening. So as you are deciding how to go about it, and you decide, you should bring the people along so that we understand. And going forward, in the next 5 years, when the utilities come again, we all know the processes that you went through to be able to achieve a certain tariff, for the next 5-year tariff to go on. The other thing that we hope PURC would start doing again is the quarterly adjustment formula that they're using, which used to be called the automatic adjustment formula. If that automatic adjustment formula was still being used, I don't think we would be at a situation where ECG is asking for 148, Ghana Water is asking for 340%, Gridco is asking for 37%, because that would give us an idea of the kind of situations that these utilities are going through. Just like MPA do with our petrol pricing. Every 2 weeks, they look at it and bring a price out. If PURC were using the automatic formula adjustment, probably we won't be where we are today.
So the quarterly adjustment is something that the PURC must revisit.
Yeah, but they haven't used it in the last few years, because yesterday I asked why it hasn't been used, and they indicated that the board wasn't put in place on time. That is government. They indicated that certain structures weren't in place. So now it's in place. But the other thing that also can disrupt some of these things is on the government side. Inflation, cedi depreciation. These things we cannot do anything about if government doesn't make sure that inflation starts dropping. Because the moment inflation rises, because ECG, one of the major reasons they've given is the rise in inflation, depreciation of the cedi, and the rise in the materials, copper and aluminium. These are outside factors. So if government is not able to bring inflation down, then it would not be the fact that we are not getting free gas anymore, but it would be the fact that because inflation is rising, because the cedi isn't stable, so prices will have to go up again. So
government has to also do something about this to make sure that the cedi doesn't depreciate and inflation doesn't rise. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Kwame Jantwa. He's an energy expert.